Hello everyone, I am Dr. Garima Srivastav from Lal Bahadur Shastri College, Lucknow. I am going to take up the topic International Human Resource Management today. So, what is International Human Resource Management? We have already studied human resource management. Human resource management refers to management of people or management of employees in an organization. Now, it is not a single process, it involves a lot of processes, a combination of processes which involves right from hiring of the candidate into the organization, then his induction in the organization, he starts working in the organization, performance appraisal, then again different kind of incentives, satisfaction level is checked of the employee, and till he exits that employee in that organization. All these aspects are covered in human resource management. Now, why do we refer to international human resource management? Because when we talk about international trading, when we talk about exporting and importing of product and services of an organization, we need to also see that what are the processes which are required when we move outside our national borders. So, of course, who will be those people who will be setting up that particular framework from where we are going to sell our product or services into that international country. So, for that purpose only we take into consideration international human resource management. So, what is it? International human resource management can be defined as set of activities aimed managing organization human resources at international level to achieve organizational objectives. That means, it is specifically aims at international level, right from the domestic level it moves to the international level, and how these human resources manage the different processes of the organization and achieve competitive advantages over competitors at national and international level. International human resource management includes HRM functions such as recruitment, selection, training and development, performance appraisal and dismissal done at the international level, and some additional activities such as global skills management and expatriate management are also included in international human resource management. So, now when we talk about international human resource management, it involves three types of employees. It is very important to note down who are these three types of employees, because on the basis of their nature, on the basis of their base in different countries, the employees are to be managed by the human resource. Now, the very first one is the parent country nationals. Parent country nationals means the home country, parent means the home country. We can directly refer it to as a country where the company's headquarters are located. That means, the people the people who are belonging from the country where the company's headquarters are located, such country nationals are called as parent country nationals. Then secondly, we have host country national. Now, what do we call as host country? Host country is a country where which we have set up, which we have selected to sell our product or services. So, that country is called as a host country. So, whoever is belonging to that host country, but is serving in a subsidiary in that host country is called as host country national. Employee belonging to the country where the company has set up a subsidiary or a manufacturing facility are called as host country nationals. Now, thirdly, we have third country nationals, employees who work in home country or host country facility of the company, but are not nationals of either of them, are called the third country national. So, these are the people who come from some different country. They neither belong to the home country where the headquarters are located, they neither belong to the host country where the subsidiary is located or from where we are going to sell the product or services, but they belong to some other country. These people are called as third country nationals. So, whenever we are dealing with human resource management, international human resource management needs to check into the type of people it is going to deal with. So, what is the need of IHRM? Actually, international human resource management is needed for the two purposes. First of all, we have some kind of cultural diversity when we move out of the national borders. Secondly, there is workforce shift also from one country to the another when we go for exporting or importing of the product. So, we take up the very first need, that is cultural diversity. Culture of a country is one of the key factors which affects the people oriented process, and HRM is a people oriented process. So, of course, when people move from one country to the another to follow up the processes of selling of product or services in the international countries, the people who are moving will also have to adapt to the different cultures of that country. So, if someone is moving from, suppose, India to US, or he or she is moving from India to Canada. So, now this person should also be aware of the different culture related to people, related to customers, related to whoever he or she is going to cater the product, plus the culture of management or business that is going on in that country. Because if he or she is not aware of such culture, he or she is going to face a kind of culture shock. That means he would not be able to adjust with the change in that culture which was there between the domestic country and the host country. So, cultural diversity exists in the 5 dimensions. Now, it is individualism versus collectivism, power orientation, uncertainty avoidance, masculinity versus femininity, and time orientation. So, these are the 5 factors on which we need to study the culture in different country. Now, the very first one, that is individualism. It is the extent to which people place value on themselves. That means, how far you are concerned about yourself as concerned as compared to people with whom you are going to work. They define themselves by referring to themselves as singular persons rather than as a part of a group or organization. That means, as an individual, how far a person is going to adjust with the change in atmosphere. That means, is he going to present himself as an individual person in that country, or he is going to represent himself as a group or as an organization. Now, the opposite of individualism is collectivism. It is the extent to which people emphasize the good of the group or society he belongs to. Now, second one is the power orientation. Now, of course, when the people move from one country to the another, one of the main motive is that they gain certain kind of power, or they gain certain kind of authority when with designation they move to the other country. It is also known as orientation of authority, is the extent to which less powerful people accept the unequal distribution of power. People prefer to be in such a situation where authority is clearly understood and lines of authority are never bypassed. So, there is a need to learn the culture of your own organization. While moving out of a particular country, is it so that your power is also going with you, or someone else is there in the home country who is going to decide for the different policies or the procedures that you are going to take up in the other country. So, of course, when people are moving out of one country, they should be delegated certain limits of power, so that they are able to decide on the products or services in that particular country. So, this is a particular aspect of power orientation. Thirdly, uncertainty avoidance. That means, when people move out, a lot of uncertainty is there. That means, will the business be successful? Will the people in that country accept the goods or services or not? Will it be somewhat acceptable in that society or not? So, certain kind of uncertainties are always there when we move out of the country. So, the people who are less fearful, who are more clear in their objectives and missions, they can only move out of the country, because they prefer more and more instability, and they are risk taking people. So, uncertainty avoidance is a preference of stability. That means, people move in such a situation where they find that there is some kind of stability in their job, there is some kind of stability in their income, then only the people are going to move. It is the extent to which people feel threatened by unknown situations and prefer to be in clear and unambiguous situation. That means, it is a role goal of human resource management to make people understand, give them clear understanding that once they move out of the country, what are the situations they are going to face and how far the organization is going to help them in facing those situations. Then only people will be willing to go out of their country and set up the business in some other country. Then the next one is the masculinity and the femininity, also known as degree of assertiveness or materialism. It is the extent to which the dominant values in the society emphasize aggressiveness and acquisition of money and material goods rather than concern for people and overall quality of life. That means how far you are able to assert yourself in that particular country, and you are able to to be judgmental about the different situations, and how far you are able to justify your decisions in that particular country. Lastly, we have time orientation dimensions, divides people into two categories, long term orientation and short term orientation. That means people may have certain goals in their life, they may have certain objectives in their life while they work in a certain organization. Now, when people try to move out, they may be looking into long term goals which they have in their life. So, whenever they move out, their career graph, how their career graph is going to increase or how it is going to be stable in that particular country. Now, this is important as referred to by human resource management, because if people are not able to satisfy their long term goals or their short term goals, they would not prefer to go in certain countries to set up your business. So, on all these particular 5 factors, the human resources must be satisfied enough and willing to go to that particular country to set up your business. Then second one is the workforce diversity. Now, workforce diversity means whatever people we are having, they are coming from different backgrounds of specializations, experience, and then different peoples are there in the organization. So, if we go in for a workforce diversity, it will increase increasingly become common in the large organization, even for domestic ones. However, in the global firm, additional workforce diversity emerges because of hiring personnel from different countries. Now, if we are not sending the same employees from the home country to the host country to set up the business, we have the other option. The other option we have is that we hire people from the same own country where we are going to set up that subsidiary for selling of the product and services. So, in that purpose we will be having more and more diverse people in our organization. A typical global firm may draw its employees from the 3 types of countries: home countries, host countries and third country. In a global firm, workforce diversity can also be seen in the context of employee mobility from one country to another country for performing jobs. That means, the human resource will also look into how far it will be able to take up people from the 3 types of countries: home country, host country and the third country, and how far these people are available for their mobility from one country to another, because it is not always that people are willing to move from one country to another. There may be some kind of resistance. So, the people, you have to choose those people who need a certain increase in their graph, who like to travel from one country to another, who are more career oriented, who are more adjustable in the culture. So, you need to check out on those people, and also those people should be specialized, highly specialized, so that they move into the other country and set up your business. So, for this purpose we need to go for staffing. Now, what is staffing? Now, we know the process of staffing. Staffing means hiring of people. Now, hiring means we are going to take up new people from the outside of the organization, or you can take up from the internal organization also. So, staffing is a process of choosing the right person at the right place at the right time. That means, no key positions in the organization are left vacant for a longer period of time. So, this is a process of staffing. That means, once a person leaves the organization, the another person is already ready to occupy that position, and no position is left vacant in the organization. Sophisticated methods such as structured interview, testing and work samples are being used for on a limited basis. So, for staffing purpose we can have certain kind of testing, we can have interviews, work samples, and we can hire a right person for that right job we are looking for. There is a challenge while deciding on the mix of local employees. Now, once we talk about domestic market, there is no kind of challenge in a mix of employees, but once we talk about international market, we as a human resource are open to home country nationals, host country nationals, and third country nationals. Now, it is our responsibility as a human resource management that how far we are able to, or we will be able to manage this mix of people from the three kinds of nationals. Then employees from the home country and even the people from the third countries that will best meet the organizational goals. Failure rates for managers sent to other countries run as high as 45%. Now, if we look into the data, mostly human resource management, if they choose the best person for the right place, for the right position, then also there are chances of 45% for failure, that the person does not want to stay there for a longer period of time. Now, it is very important because we as an organization have already spent a lot of money on sending that person into that country, making him aware about the culture of that country, and then we may also have invested in certain kind of training and development of that person, so that he may be able to manage the processes in that country. So, now the failure rate should be reduced when we talk about international staffing. Now, types of international employees. Now, once the person moves from one country to the another, they are called as expatriates. So, we need to understand what kind of employees we are going to deal with. The very first one is the expatriates. Expatriate is an employee working in a unit or plant who is not a citizen of a country in which the unit or plant is located, but is a citizen of the country in which the organization's headquarters are located. That means expatriate will be a person who will be coming from the home country, and he will be working in the subsidiary unit or the manufacturing unit in that international country which we have targeted or which we have selected for selling of our product or services. So, such person, if suppose a company's headquarter is situated in India and this company has started a subsidiary in US or in Canada, and this company sends a person to US or Canada, he will be called as an expatriate in US or Canada. Many MNEs use expatriates to ensure that foreign operations are linked effectively with the parent corporation. So, why do we go for expatriates at the first level? Because if we choose the people from our own home country, they will be able to run the organization, run the subsidiary in the host country on the same policies and procedures that the home country is running. So, we have following types of expatriates. The very first one is volunteer expatriates. These are the person who want to work abroad for a period of time because of career or self development interest. Then we have traditional expatriates. These are professionals and managers assigned to work in foreign operations for 1 to 3 years or more. So, we divide these expatriates on the basis of time they are spending in that particular country. Now, career development expatriates, these individuals are placed in foreign jobs to develop the international management capabilities of the firm. They may serve in those countries on 1 to 3 tours in different countries. So, they can so that they can develop a broader understanding of the international operations. Then we have global expatriates. The broadcast category comprise those individuals who move from one country to another. Often they prefer to work internationally rather than in the home country. Now, I have already told that you need to check on the willingness of the person, that whether he is willing to move from one country to another, or whether he is willing to increase his career graph in some other country, or he is willing to stay in the home country. Now, this willingness is very important when we take or select the expatriates to be sent into the host host country. A host country national is an employee working in a unit or a plant who is a citizen of a country in which the unit or plant is located, but where the unit or plant is operated by an organization's headquarter in the another country. That means these are the people who are taken up from the same country where the subsidiary or the manufacturing unit of the home country company is situated. Now, thirdly, we have the third country nationals. They are the nationals working in the second country, but they neither belong to the home country or nor they belong to the host country. They are the people from some other country, but they come to the host country or the home country to work for them. Each of these employees present some unique human resource management challenges. Because of a given situation, each is a citizen of different country. So, different tax laws and other factors are applied. Once we see into the HR professionals, they have to be acknowledgeable about the laws and customs of each of the country. They must establish appropriate payroll systems, record keeping procedures among other activities to ensure compliance with varying regulations and requirements. Now, the very last topic of human resource management is international labor relations. Now, we have already talked about what is human resource, why do we need them, how are we going to staff them. Then comes the basic issues that are related with the people who are working in the international countries for a company in the home country. So, labor relations means it is a term which is used to define the process or it is used to define the relation between the employers and employee, management and unions in order to make decisions in the organization. Now, it is basically the relations between the employer and the employee, and sometimes trade unions are also involved in these particular relations. The decisions taken are basically based on wages, working conditions, hours of work and safety at work, security and grievances. So, these are the basic issues which are taken up under the labor relations. Some of the key issues. Now, we have already studied about the basic key issues of industrial relations, but these are the key issues which come into play when we talk about international human resource management. So, when we move into some other country, some of the other important aspects of uncontrollable factors come into play, such as economic factors, political factors and legal factors. So, these are the three important factors which come into play when we move from one country to the another, or we cross one of the national borders. So, how far economic factors? Economic factors are related to the monetary or money condition of that particular country. Political factors means the rules and regulations that the political parties or governing parties of that particular country has taken up. Legal factors or the legal system means how is a legal system, legal setup in that particular country, which are related to the wages or the safety safeguard measures taken up by the organization in that particular country. So, the very first issue is handling of labor relations, headquarters or subsidiary in the concerned country. So, how far you are able to handle the labor relations, whether they are related to the headquarters or the home country or they are related to the subsidiary in the host country. The national dissimilarities in economic, political and legal systems, they create a diverse labor relation system across the countries. MNC's headquarters typically delegate the control over labor relations to the foreign subsidiaries. Having said that, the participation of the MNC's headquarters in the host country labor relation is impacted by 4 key elements. Now, these key elements are some of the 4 key elements are taken up for the particular purpose. So, when we talk about handling of labor relations, we need to compare the home country economic, political and legal conditions with the host country economic, political and legal conditions. Why? Because there is a lot of diversity between the two. So, we need to handle both of them so that an equilibrium between the home country and host country related to these 3 factors are considered. Now, the second issue, trade union tactics. Sometimes trade unions are there, but not always trade unions are there in the international market also. So, one of the basic trick of trade union is strike. So, the companies generally prefer that the people do not go for strike, because strike results into a loss of work, loss of production of the unit of that particular company. So, the most common one is strike. Unions should be cautious prior to resorting to a strike in international scenario, because the bargaining power of the union could possibly be threatened or weakened by the financial resources of an MNC, as multinational firms use transnational sourcing and cross subsidizing of its products and parts across the different international locations. Now, of course, in the domestic market strikes could work, because the company cannot resort to or cannot or company is not open to other options in the domestic market. But when we talk about international market, a company is always open to financial resources, is always open to transnational sourcing, outsourcing of the outsourcing from the other country also. So, once the unions decide to go on strike, they should be very cautious, because most of the financial resources are vested with the company itself. Thirdly, we have political issues. These are the three phases of international relations which the international union movement encounters in the international environment, especially social democracy, neoliberal and authoritarian. The dissimilarity in the national industrial relation system are also mirrored in the structure, power and status of the individual actors in the system. Now, we need to check into what kind of the structure or network is there as regards to political parties in that particular country, because and what are the type of ideology that country's political system is taking up, whether it is social democracy, whether it is neoliberal or it is authoritarian. Now, it is important to look into that, because these are the three factors which are going to govern the basic system of the labours in that particular country. Fourth issue is the social and identity. There is lack of solidarity between leaders at the national level. There is also cultural, social and language differences among the individuals in different countries, resulting in lower degree of shared identity, because between workers on international level. So, this is one of the basic issue once, because the people or labor you have to deal with, they may belong to different culture, they may belong to different social society, or they may be speaking different languages. Now, you need to tackle all these cultural diversity within the organization, so as to keep your work going on in the organization. So, these can be done by understanding the need of the people from the host country, understanding the need of the people from the home country and the third country nationals. So, that will decide what will be the actual mix from the home country as well as the host country in your company. So, very last issue is the power and the knowledge. While labor's power continues to be local in scope, that means in the domestic market the labor power of the labor is more as compared to when it moves to the international level. Capital has grown to become more global in nature, and decision affecting the workers are increasingly being made at the supranational level. That means the people are already concerned about the welfare, safeguarding measures, safety measures taken up by the companies. The different countries are already aware of these particular things. So, the trade unions must also have the power, must also be knowledgeable enough to use their power to present their demands in front of the employers. So, overall we can say that international human resource management will be very cautious in selecting the people, staffing the people, right person at the right place, and also looking into the matters related to the labor, related to the manufacturing unit in the host country or the international country, so that it ultimately results into the higher efficiency and productivity of the organization. Thank you.